I'll be happy when I live in the same city as my family. I'll be happy when I have this amount of money in my bank account. I'll be happy when I get this title at work. I'll be happy if, I'll be happy if, I'll be happy when. And I'm like, yo, I almost died. You know, that when, that if might not happen, right? And so if we are here and we're here right now, what can we be happy about right now?
One look and I breathe.
Welcome back to the Awakening to Love podcast. I am your host, the Ascension Coach, James Valentine, and we are back with another incredible NDE story from just this beautiful soul that I've had the opportunity to meet. But before I introduce her, her story goes back to May of 2023 on a rafting experience that she was invited to. That I'm gonna let her tell her story, but her NDE was a part of that experience. Just a little bit about her. She's the author of Black People Breathe, and now teaches mindfulness and breath work to people of color in the workplace. She's actually a Harvard MBE that went from leading teams of large Fortune 500 companies and startups in Silicon Valley to, again, teaching mindfulness and breath work to people of color. So having said that, without further ado, I'm going to introduce my friend and this next NDE experience, Z Clark.
Thank you, James. So this is my NDE experience. It was a Friday night, and I got a text message from a friend of mine who said, hey, do you want to go whitewater rafting tomorrow? And initially I was like, yes, that sounds so awesome. Even though I hadn't been for like 20 years, I'd gone once a long time ago. But it sounded fun. I wanted to spend more time on the river. I love nature. It kind of made sense. And then I thought about it, and I remembered that I saw a news story that somebody had died on this river 2 weeks prior to this date. And so I texted back like 10 minutes later and I said, how's the river conditions right now? Didn't somebody die because the water levels were really high? Is it lower now? And my friend, she said, well, yes, somebody died. I think it's a fluke. We were on 2 weeks ago and it was a little spicy, but it seemed fine. I think we're going to be okay. The water levels are actually higher now, but I totally understand if you don't want to go. So I checked in with my intuition. I didn't just jump right into this thing. I thought about it and I asked myself, should I go? And my intuition said very clearly, yes, you should go. So I went, and 5 minutes into the rafting trip, we hit the first rapids and I get tossed from the boat. I then get sucked down a sinkhole. I didn't know that word until that day afterwards. I got sucked down a sinkhole. So you see, currents take you forward, sinkholes suck you down. And the next thing that I remembered was being in a place that had no time, space. I didn't have a body. Everything was white all around me. I looked up, I looked down, didn't see, just white. And I thought to myself, where am I? What happened? Oh my God, did it end? Is it over? I thought I had died. I mean, I didn't know. I was confused. And I was in this confused state for a while. And then I remember screaming inside as loud as I could, but I'm not done yet. And then immediately, I opened my eyes and saw the blue sky, looked around, noticed that I was on the top of the water, and I looked ahead. I saw the boat pretty far ahead, and I remembered the safety procedures, which were to keep your feet forward, hold on to your oar. They're going to throw the rope. So they did. Eventually, as I got closer, they threw the rope. I didn't get it. They threw the rope. I didn't get it. Finally get back to the boat, realize that I was in like shock mode, that I could barely breathe. I was coughing up water, and it was scary. I mean, it took me a while to come back to like my normal state. And it was very intense. And since then, like 2 other people died within that like month, right? So 3 people had died. It could have been 4, it could have been me, but something inside of me, because I remember the moment, I remember saying, but I'm not done yet. And then I came back. So I describe where I was as the in-between place. Like I wasn't here, but I wasn't there yet. And I was fully conscious. And it's been a while since that experience, but I've had a lot of time to process, well, why did this happen? Like, what am I supposed to get from this? If my intuition, my spirit guides, whatever, God, whatever, if everything inside me told me to go, that meant that I was supposed to have this experience. Well, if I was supposed to have this experience, then why? And I've been doing a lot of inner work, meditation, the breath work that I do to really go deep inside, even ancestral work to understand why did this happen. And I found 8 things that I knew that I definitely learned. And I think I was supposed to learn these things. The first one is this: self-doubt is the most useless way to spend our time here. So I realized that during my time here, I spent a lot of time worrying. I'm like worrying whether, whatever I'm working on is going to be successful, what people think of me, all this stuff. But that's just a waste of time. Like, if we have a limited amount of time here, then we should use it the best we can. And self-doubt is just dumb. It doesn't serve anybody. That's number 1. Number 2, don't give away your power. Don't let other people determine your worth, your mood, or your well-being. People will say stuff to try to tick you off. People will try to, especially the work that I do in racial healing, I have a lot of white supremacists and folks that, don't think highly of people that look like us, and they are doing everything in their power to ruin my day. And so what I realized is that that's giving away my power to let other people, because of the way they act, what they do, ruin my day, when in fact, we can't control other people. We can't control the world around us, but what we can control is how we feel inside. So don't give away your power, number 2. Number 3, it's okay to not have a set path. So basically, all these realizations was like things I wouldn't say doing wrong. I'll just say opportunities for me to be more aligned, right? And I was always in environments with school, or at least like college, after college and grad school and working, especially in corporate America. I spent over 20 years in corporate America, where you're just trained to say, okay, what's your 1-year goal, your 2-year goal, your 5-year goal, your 10-year goal? And here's the path: step 1, step 2, step 3, all of that. And often that path, that plan wasn't mine. It was society telling me what success was supposed to be, right? Society telling me this is a traditional path. And what I realized after this experience is to be open to the possibilities. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't make plans, have goals, all of that. It's more about not being so rigid, because control is an illusion. That's what I learned from Almost Done. Control is an illusion. So why not be open? Number 4, don't wait to be happy. What can you be happy about now? I had just gone to I went to Harvard Business School, and I went to my Harvard Business School reunion, and I connected with an old classmate. And I said, how are you doing? And he told me, work this, work that, I have this number of kids now, the spiel. And I said, are you happy? And he looked at me and he said, well, I'll be happy once he's doing this work commute to a different city. I'll be happy when I live in the same city as my family. I'll be happy when I have this amount of money in my bank account. I'll be happy when I get this title at work. I'll be happy if, I'll be happy when. And I'm like, yo, I almost died. That when, that if might not happen. right? And so if we are here and we're here right now, what can we be happy about right now? All right, number 5, make time for the people you care about. So I went to a meditation retreat after I had this experience. Well, first I had a lot of work stuff and work travel, and my book, Black People Breathe, had come out. So I was doing book tour stuff and just busy, busy, busy. Finally went to a meditation retreat and had the space to process this. And the first 3 days, it was like a week-long silent retreat. The first 3 days, just tears, just like bawling, just bawling. And I was like, what are these tears about? You know, I'm alive. I should be happy. I'm in this beautiful place. Why am I crying? And when I got quiet, what I realized were that these tears were thinking about the possibility that I would have had to say goodbye to all my people, like the people that I love and that I care about. And you know what? A lot of them I don't talk to every day, not even every week, every month. You know, people that are just, they're in my life and I love them so much. But we all just get so busy, right? It's almost like society has told us that busyness makes you a worthy person, and then you just fill up all the stuff. But don't be too busy for your people. If I had died, I wouldn't, there were so many people that I'm like, oh, I need to call this person. Well, don't wait. Make time for people now. Who haven't you called in a while? Who do you need to have lunch with that you could if you just were intentional about it? So lots of tears, but that led me to connect with some folks and just to remember that this life is about the beautiful souls that we meet, that we interact with, and death. I mean, people have different perspectives as to what happens afterwards, but I'll say, while we are here, we can choose to make time and space for the people that we love. All right, number 6. People will never forget how you made them feel, right? And this is, you know, this is like a Maya Angelou, you know, quote, right? But it really, that quote came back to me after I had this experience. And the full quote is, I've learned that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And back to capitalist society and achievements and this and that, right? Like, we're so focused on the doing. We are so focused on the doing and not, okay, well, how are we making people feel? What kind of mark are we leaving? And people remember that. They won't remember what your sales numbers were. They'll remember, were you an asshole? Or did you make me feel valued? Right? Did you show up with love? Right? And I have bosses who would come to work and they would yell and curse and like bang their fists on the table. And I remember that. I don't remember anything they achieved. I don't remember any of the company's P&L, but I remember how they showed up. And I will admit that I'm not a perfect person. And that there have been moments when I was so caught up in the, you know, sprinting to achieve that I may not have treated others as well as I could have or should have. You know what I mean? Because I was sprinting. We got to make this deadline. We got to do this. There's no time to make people feel good. But that's what really matters. All right. Number 7. Pay attention and appreciate the little things. And it's like, even still, few months after this experience, I'm noticing the details. I'm noticing the way my shirt creases right here. I'm noticing the way the sun glistens on a leaf in my backyard. Like, I'm noticing insects and how if you look at an insect, they're actually quite beautiful. A lot of them, they have these colors, you know, butterflies come by, and I'm looking at the butterfly because our time here is limited. And guess what? If I had died, I wouldn't have seen that butterfly. And damn, that butterfly is beautiful. So beautiful. And why not experience the joy of these little things when a breeze comes and it's hot? You feel that breeze, like these moments. So it's appreciating these little things because they matter rather than taking them for granted. And then my number 8 is be clear about why you're here, because I mean, I'm still like, I could have not been here. That's really, and I just, and I'm still here. And that means I'm still here with a purpose, with a reason. There is a reason I'm still here. And, you know, I blew up my life a few years ago. I quit my corporate job. I went to India. I started meditating and doing yoga more and just not participating in the mainstream stuff for a while. And that led me to doing the work that I do today, which is teaching mindfulness and breath work to people of color, trying to help us to feel good in a world where microaggressions and racism exists almost every day. And this knowing, like what I got from this is like, oh, I'm here for a reason. And let me not fail myself. I got another chance. So let me make use of the time. And that means that when hard times happen, when things didn't go as I had planned, right? When I look at my bank account and I'm like, ooh, that's not the same as it once was with my Harvard MBA. That's not a Harvard MBA income, you know, and it doesn't matter because I'm still here living my purpose, which is to help Black people and all people, but Black people especially, to feel good in a world that sometimes feels like it's always against us. And that, I left with this fire, you know, this and a love. Like, I always had the love, but it's like, not that nothing can bring me down. We always have, you know, we got days, right? Like I got COVID recently, but even when I had COVID and I couldn't, it was like bad COVID and I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, appreciating the little things, appreciating that somebody came and brought me food, you know what I mean, at my doorstep, appreciating that I was still breathing, even though I couldn't move, I was still breathing. And I was still breathing because I'm here to live my purpose. And so it's been a journey. I don't think that those are all the lessons. I think we are always learning. But I'll tell you this, I'm so grateful to be here so that I can continue learning. So that is my story.
So thank you first of all, thank you for sharing that. And I think you're amazing. And as you were talking, I was like, missing the opportunity to have connected with you, to have been able to take in your energy, take in your presence would have definitely felt, obviously I didn't know you, but it feels like it would have been a great loss because I know in just our brief exchanges, just the atmosphere that you set with who you are. A couple of things that I wrote down. Well, first, before I talk about the things I wrote down, when you talked about that experience, the thing that stood out to me is often when I'm talking to NDEs, there is that period where they're still kind of in the area, and then they end up getting whisked away to, usually it's through a tunnel, and then a whole bunch of other amazing stuff starts happening. So you were definitely at that place just before you go down that tunnel. So that's what that was kind of on my mind. I was like, oh, she never even made it through there, but she was definitely at that place where people talk about they may hear things or they may see things and what other people are doing or whatever, their own body and things. So whether you went all the way or wherever you went, we're grateful that you made it out of that experience. And then you brought back some gifts for us. And what those gifts were those 8 things that you broke down, right? Because whether you've had an NDE or didn't have an NDE, or whether you're going through depression or whether you're experiencing the life of bliss, those are still very important lessons for whoever. And so I wrote down 4 of them. One of them, you said this differently, but the way I translated it was embrace the unknown. Like I think you were talking about goals when you were saying that, right?
Yes, the path, the set
Yeah.
path.
And I think oftentimes we will fight against life, or we will have that period of time of worrying of why this isn't working the way I think it should work. And really there's like an open door to the left or to the right that is the next step. Like we're thinking we're supposed to be going here, and why is this blocked, and why can't I get here? But there's
Yes.
something there's something then off, off screen going, hey, this is the direction. I got something even more incredible for you. So I don't know if you wanted to touch on that, or I can continue with the other three.
Yeah. I mean, I love the framing of embrace the unknown. And the reason I love the framing is because I believe that we naturally fear the unknown.
Yeah.
So we have these tendencies to be like, but if I don't know what's going to happen, it's definitely going to be bad. And, but in fact, it could be this amazing thing around the corner, right? And I'll just add to the embracing the unknown is that what I have been doing a lot of lately in my life is really, truly trusting my intuition. So the thing is that our intuition will lead us to places that maybe have stuff that we don't know. That's for example, I ended up moving to Denver. I didn't know anybody in Denver. This was a few years ago. I didn't know anybody in Denver. My intuition led me to Denver, totally unknown. And yet that sparked me writing my book, Black People Breathe. Black People Breathe, like it started, I mean, I wasn't thinking about a book at that time. But what happened was I started a note. And it was just writing down my experiences. I went to the store, I wouldn't get served. I was at a restaurant and somebody came up to me and said this, I was at work. It's interesting. Who knew that was going to become a book? Wasn't planning to write a book. That was never part of I mean, I was little, I really wanted to be an author, but I gave up on that dream because my parents were like, get a real job. So anyway, those are my thoughts there.
I love that you gave that as an example, because one of the things I talk about with people, with clients, whatever, is we're often, I always say, don't miss the message caught up in the details, right? And what I mean by that is, of course, that is an undesirable experience.
Yes.
But that experience gave birth to the book that is changing lives. Like I told you, I had a friend who posted it, and she thinks it's amazing. Like it gave something, though it took away something, but it also gave birth to something super amazing. And so sometimes I talk about, we experience the contrast so that we can fully know what's in us, so that we can fully know our power and what we're capable of. And so sometimes life looks like that because it's trying to bring something out of us that probably wouldn't have come out otherwise.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the other thing, because I don't want to keep you too long, but the other thing that that really stands out, that's a big thing for me, is be happy now. That's how I translated just be happy now. I tell my clients, find in every moment, what's the thing that feels the best? Go with that. Go with the thing that feels good to you in this moment above anything else. I don't care whether that's putting work down and going out and going to the playground, or going to take a walk, or going to work out, or just watching a comedy. Like, go with what feels good in this particular moment. Because what you're doing is you're aligning with your higher self. You're aligning with your bliss, and incredible and amazing things come out of that experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
And the be happy now, there's gratitude that also, right? Like you think about it, okay, well, how can I be happy now? I can think about all the things that I'm grateful for. And I believe that we can be most creative, right? We can be in flow, we can problem solve best, all the things, when we are not in a place of lack, but instead in a place of, abundance, about thinking about it, regardless of, what you might not have, you still have lots of stuff, right? There's this song, I can't remember who sings it, but it's called I'm Lucky, and I'm going to send it to you later. And it's, she's like, I got a roof over my head, I got food on the table, some of the basic things to just shoes on my feet, right? To be appreciative. And from that place of acknowledging abundance, that's when we can be in flow. That's when we can be most aligned to then listen to our intuition, to find the path that we are supposed to be on, to discover the unknown, the things that are unknown to us, that are there for us, that we didn't even know that we wanted, right? It is that place. So I totally agree. Be happy now. And here's the thing, we have to remember to do this.
Have to remember that.
So yeah, because it doesn't often come down. I don't know if it's just we're brainwashed and we arrive here and your parents tell you and the school and the government and the news and everything trying to tell you about all that's wrong. You know, what is news? What makes news? Bad things. How often do good things make the news? So just even in our environments and what comes into our minds. And so you know, I invite folks to have a gratitude practice every day.
Oh yeah.
When you first before you go to bed, because that is helpful in putting you into that mind space. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. I think I'm gonna bring out this one as well, because as you were talking, I was like, here's this woman and she's extremely accomplished with the book and the Harvard and just the things you experienced in corporate America. And you talked about how you realized that it's really about how you make people feel. Like it's not about this and I did that and this accomplishment and I had, like, it's about how you make people feel. And I love that. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but I was looking at you, it's like she's an accomplished woman and she's come to that conclusion that it's about how you make people feel.
Yeah, because I was in all these very corporate, competitive, cutthroat environments. And you know, not everywhere was like this with people treating other people badly, but during times of stress, during times of, you know, client deadlines, product launches, what have you, it's really easy to throw out niceness, right? For the sake of get it done quickly, right? And that's not, as I said, people don't remember the outcomes, the achievements, right? People will remember like who you are, how you showed up, how did you treat me? And what people don't realize is that your job, like whatever job, this job that you're in, it's not going to be a job forever. So you're going to go other places. It's just natural. Even if you don't work, even if you choose to not work, you're going to continue to be in this world, and people remember. And what do you want to be known for? My friend who has since passed, he also from DC actually, he said he was always worried about his legacy, and what people would remember him for. And while I don't encourage people to constantly think about after I'm dead this, but it's more like right now, because it does have an impact. And the other thing that I realize is that we help each other. Like we don't get anywhere without help for anything. I mean, when you're a baby, your parents are helping you, right? Like as an adult, you have friends, colleagues, acquaintances, people that strangers might help. And people aren't going to help assholes. People aren't going to help people that don't treat other people well. That doesn't feel good. And I believe that as a society, if we were all intentional about how we made other people feel, which might sound a little like, you know, no one might sound like, but I'll just say, I believe that companies would be more productive. I believe that we wouldn't have all the wars and the violence in the world. I believe that there would be less poverty, and call me naive, right? Call me optimistic. But, you know, I didn't say it was easy to get people to do that. But if they did, I do believe that those outcomes would happen.
Absolutely. So at this point in the podcast, I just want you to just share how people, your story may resonate with them, the 8 things, one of the all 8 things, or one of the 8 things may resonate with them. How can people reach out to you to find out more about who you are and what you do?
Yeah. Well, you can find me at my website, 𝐂𝐶larke.com. That's 𝐂𝐶larke.com. 𝐂𝐶larke.com. Also on social media, I'm Z Clarke Breathes. So Z with 2 E's, ZEE Clarke Breathes. And I have guided breathing practices and a lot of resources for folks on my website and social media. I'm also on LinkedIn, you know, all the things. And yeah, if folks want to bring me in for corporate workshops, I'd love to chat. If you want to attend one of my sound baths or my ancestral breathwork sessions, you can find more about that on my website and join my mailing list.
Definitely check out the website. Definitely reach out to her if you feel like you're led to. Having said that, Z, I will catch up with you. I know you're super busy and you have to go, so I do want to follow up with you at some point. But having said that, to all my listeners, I love you. I appreciate you. And both Z and I say goodbye for now.